Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than my usual content. This video is for the buyers of my Mazda Sensory Sound System Pioneer stereo label kit. I just got these back from the printer and they look absolutely stunning. Absolutely gorgeous. This is an example of a set of these new labels applied to an old, unrefinished stereo faceplate. And you can see they are quite dashing. These labels were professionally made by a company that supplies these I think these are polycarbonate overlays to the industry. So I don't know who their customers are, but they are big name companies. So these are not made in a fly-by-night shop by a hobbyist. These are professionally made and produced. These labels were created as close to the original as possible. I actually sent a set of faceplates, these very faceplates, to the manufacturer, and I said, I need to make these. After we went back and forth, we came up with a price that was relatively reasonable. And I'm just hoping to recuperate my investment. These were very expensive to make. These were not cheap. These were made in the US. And I'm offering my stock for sale to anyone who wants to buy a set. I've already sold more than half of my inventory. So there's a very real possibility, if there's enough demand, I may have to have a second run made. If I have to, I will. So let's get on with it. So when you get your label kit, this is what you will receive. You will receive a padded envelope containing this right here. And inside this envelope, you are going to find if I can open this without tearing it. And hell with it. You're going to find a couple of things. You will receive a full set of the polycarbonate. Now, I'm not sure if these are polycarbonate. Let me check the invoice and see what it says. Let's see what it says. I'll tell you what they are. It does not specify material, so I'm assuming polycarbonate. Anyway. Specs aren't even on there. You will receive a set of these. Now here, of course, here is your CD slot status indicator, which is printed. There's a term for this. It's printed without the white ink. There is a black translucent overlay. But when you look at it through the light, you will see that the CD set indicator is visible. Now, this may not be as clear as the factory, so it might be a little bit on the dim side, but I think that'll be okay for most folks. But this is what the lighting will look like if applied properly. You will receive both the Bodysonic and the main head unit label. You will also receive a full set of my own design decals. These are to replace, once you do a full refinish, if you choose to, all the print on the faceplates. I suggest a couple of things if you're going to do a full restore, and I'll talk about that right now. You will also receive some basic instructions. I haven't written them yet. This is all happening a little faster than I thought. So let's talk about the process. Now, I am going to attempt to apply these decals. See, they do scratch. These can scratch. This one already did get scratched, probably in transit. I think these were bundled together and they scratched up against each other. So a little word to the wise, watch out for that. So let me grab my own stereo, and we're gonna try to take these off without disassembly. I haven't done this yet. I don't know if this is going to work, but my own stereo has already been fully refinished. And it may not be possible to remove the existing material without damaging the finish, but we're going to try. And your mileage may vary because these radios, if depending on how much UV they were exposed to, see, this is what yours might look like. It might look better, it might look worse. This is something I put an LED here for my my integrated Bluetooth module. That LED will not be making a return. I'm going to be removing that. So we're just going to kind of push it through there. It's not glued in or anything. I wanted to see what it would look like. I don't like it, and I don't think you do either. So let's see if we can do this without pulling the faceplate apart. Okay, oh, that's too heavy. I gotta find a better way to support my phone here. I know, I'll put it on top of my Luxo lamp. Look at that, that works. So here we go. We're gonna start with the head unit. I may have to refinish this entire faceplate again, and I know that. So the tool I'm gonna use for this job, and you may not have to remove the existing. It may just be fine. I would remove it if I were doing this, because the chances of the existing label disintegrating and causing a poor adhesion situation is pretty high. So we're going to try to remove this old label very carefully without causing any further damage. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take my little tool, and I'm going to kind of go all the way around it like this. You can see how the material breaks very easily. It's going to do that. But we don't want to damage the existing finish. See, I want to see if we can do this on a radio that might have a good finish, but the old label is damaged. And that's what we're trying out here. That actually was remarkably uneventful. Look at that. We got the old one off without even damaging anything. And I'm going to use the blunt end of this tool. You can see the old adhesive is still here. Look at that. Now I'm going to talk about what to do if you're going to completely refinish your stereo, which is what I did. Now, my stereo was in pretty rough shape. A lot of UV damage, a lot of clear coat failure. I'll take that off too. A lot of clear coat failure, a lot of UV damage. It was pretty rough. And what I ended up doing was I took my faceplate completely apart. Now, I'm actually going to walk you through the process through basic explanation here. So if I were to refinish this faceplate, okay, what I would do is I would start off by removing the old label. It looks like they've already done that for me, and then they applied a new one. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to do a complete disassembly. We got to remove everything, including the light piping for the backlight for the cassette door and the CD door. All of this stuff is removable with screws except for the light piping here, and you'll see that it is actually melted in place. Now, the way I remove this is two ways you can do it. You can take one, you got to buy a set of these first of all. It comes in a set of different types. And what you want to do is you want to pry this off very gently. Looks like this one's ready to go. Be very careful. Just like that. And what that's going to do is it's going to snap off the melted plastic that's holding it in place. You got to do that one, and you've got to do I think that's it for this faceplate. On the Bodysonic faceplate, which I don't have to show you here, there is the ALC indicator. Actually, no, I do have them right here. The ALC indicator right here, the automatic level control, that has a light piped piece of plastic. Well, light piping is basically plastic that allows light to pass through it in various directions. That has to be removed. That reminds me, I believe, no, it's not. It's on this one. You've got to also remove this little surround here. And that's held on, again, by melted plastic pegs. What they do is they mold a peg into the faceplate during manufacturing, they drop the faceplate and align it using those little pegs. Then they have a tool like a soldering iron, and it melts down and forms almost like a plastic rivet. Those need to be snapped off. What you can do is take one of these tools, and sometimes you can just kick them off. But sometimes you have to use a little bit of, you might want to use a knife or something sharp. I actually have in this kit similar to that. I've got this tool here. It's just sharp enough, and you might be able to use this to kick that off. Let's see. I'm going to use a little bit of control here. A little controlled chaos. Yeah, it's not working. So in this case, we're probably going to want to use a soldering iron, but you got to be very careful, because you want to melt this off very gently using a lower heat, because you don't want to go through the plastic on the other side. So this is a little bit tricky, and you've also got to factor in the knowledge that this plastic is over 30 years old in some cases, and it gets brittle. But you want to remove this. Okay, whatever method you choose, it has to be removed. Now, once you've got this removed, you want to lightly sand. I would do maybe 800 grit sandpaper over the whole thing. Sand every surface. Oh yeah, the ALC indicator. That you can actually kick it off with one of these spludgers. Even if you're gonna crack the plastic around it. But yeah, see, my other faceplate was in better shape. This one's seen more UV, so it's a little more fragile, and I don't want to damage it. So it's still a good faceplate. And it replaced. Oh, there we go. I see how I put a little a little pressure on it like that, and then I want to do the other side. Yeah, there we go. Broke it off, and now it falls out. So I'm gonna go over reassembly. Don't worry. So once you've done that and you've got just the bare faceplate, let's try this. Let's try this one. Sometimes you get lucky twice. Yeah. It ain't happening. Let's try the sharp tip. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. Let's try a different cutter tip here. Almost there. Yeah. We're gonna have to use heat, which I don't want to do right now. But do this at your own risk, okay? Once you've got all that removed, you got the labels off, you want to give it a light 800 grit, maybe even 1000 grit sandpaper. You don't want to go nuts. You just want to scuff the surface, and that'll give you a nice surface to apply new paint. The next thing you want to do is you want to maybe take one of these faceplates over to the hardware store and find yourself a can of Rust-Oleum. I used a Rust-Oleum satin nickel on mine. It's a little bit darker. Let's do a side by side here. It's actually a lot darker, but I like the color. That was my choice. It's my car, my choice. Your car, your choice. You can do what you want. I use satin nickel because I number one, I have like 3 cans of it kicking around the house, and I just like the color. I think it looks a little bit more classy, you know. But you can find a bright silver. That might be what you prefer. In fact, if you're doing a 93 LE, I think you kind of have to. And you want to do a couple of light coats. Get a nice even coat. Your painting technique is entirely yours. I've developed my own techniques over the past 20 years, and I'm not very good at it even yet. So it's been suggested to me that the finish be applied with an airbrush. I don't have an airbrush. If you have an airbrush and know how to use it, by all means. Once you've got both faceplates refinished with fresh paint, at that point, what you want to do is let the paint cure. I would give it a week, maybe longer. I gave mine about 2 weeks of curing time. This way, when we go to apply our clear coat, it won't reactivate the paint, and it won't cause you to suffer other various paint defects. Real important though, before you apply your paint, after you've lightly sanded, you want to wash it in hot water with Dawn dish detergent. I've done it that way. I've also done it with, I use a degreaser. I use Fast Orange. That stuff works pretty well, or whatever the hell it's called. I get it at the dollar store. It works pretty decently. And the whole point of that is to remove any oils from your fingertips, to eliminate fish eyes. So once you've degreased and cleaned, you can apply whatever paint you choose after it dries. Once you've done all that, now it's time to apply your water slide decals. Now these are tricky. So in the kits that I'm sending out, I am giving you 2 sets of these labels here. You get 2 sets. You're also getting 4 Pioneer labels or decals and 4 compact disc decals. If you need more decals, if you screw up, understand, let me know. I will supply maybe 1 additional set at no charge. These do cost me real money to print, but if you screw up, you're buying my kit, I will happily give you another set of decals. Right now I'm a little low on those. I've got to order more supplies to get those printed off. But accidents happen. Water slide decals, if you've never applied these before, they are tricky. You have to use just the right water temperature. You have to soak them for just the right amount of time, and you have to have the right tools. I suggest getting yourself a set of tweezers, but this takes practice. I suggest doing the Pioneer labels first. They're a little easier to do, and you can line them up. These aren't perfect. These are not the perfect color. They're not the perfect size, but they do work. I think they look nice once they're done correctly. So you want to apply your decals. The adhesive in the decal paper is water-based. So because of that, you really have to clear coat these. And they're very thin. They're very, very thin. So you want to make sure that once you apply your decals, all right, you want to make sure that the faceplate is clean. Just let them dry. I'd say let the decals dry for a couple days. This takes time. A couple of days of dry time just to make sure the adhesive fully cures. And then you can do a visual inspection. Maybe wipe it down a little bit with, I don't know what you would use. But now it's time for clear coat. Now clear coat, remember, don't have these on. You don't want to put these on yet. These are the last thing you do. You want to do your clear coat. Now this is very important. The clear coat that I recommend is an Eastwood product, and there's also pretty much identical products by other manufacturers. The clear coat is a 2K clear, not to be confused with, I believe it's Krylon or Rust-Oleum 2X clear. The 2K clear is a catalyzed at use product. It's actually activated at the time of use. So what you've got to do is buy a can of this stuff. There's a little red button on the bottom of the can, or it's actually in the cap when you buy it. And once you receive it, that red cap comes off the top of the can, and you shove it in the bottom of the can, and that breaks a cell within the can that releases the activator. You then shake it as instructed on the can. Follow the instructions exactly. I've used this product on a couple of different projects, and I'm telling you, it is the best clear coat you can buy. It's a little pricey, about $30 a can. I think it's $25 to $30 depending on where you buy it and shipping expenses. The stuff I used, I think it was like, I'll try to include a link in this video. I want to give you guys all the information you need to do this correct as best I can. The clear coat, you have to apply it in light coats. The can is only good for about 48 hours once activated. So it's kind of a one-shot deal. You're going to waste a lot of clear coat unless you're doing more than one faceplate. I've got a few people that are doing multiples. I suggest in this case you do them all side by side. The 2K clear, it will cure fairly quickly, but you want to let it sit. I'd say you can give it a couple days. Again, this isn't something that you want to do overnight. This isn't going to happen. You do it on a Monday. You're not going to have your car ready by Friday even. You might take you 2 weeks, maybe 3. It's up to you. This is just how I'm doing them. So I'm in no rush. My car is safely tucked away in the garage for the next couple weeks. So anyway, you do your clear coat and then you apply these decals. Now these are a one-shot deal. If you get it wrong, you can't reposition. Just saying. Just be very careful with these. Because if you go to remove them, if you try to take it off, it's going to take the paint with it. So just keep that in mind. So make sure you are ready to go. And again, do a visual inspection. Make sure your faceplate is perfect. One more thing, the clear coat that you want to use is a matte finish. You don't want to use the gloss finish because it's not going to look right. Of course, I'm saying this and I used a completely different shade of silver. Well, anyway, personal preferences are what they are. You can use a semi-gloss. I used what was called a semi-matte. So it wasn't quite dead, but it was a little bit of shine to it. Again, I'm going to try to put a link to that stuff in the description as well. Once you're done, let the stuff cure. Again, give it a couple days, and then you can start reassembly. Like I said, I've only run 30 sets of these, and about 5 of them I've earmarked for my own use, which I'm going to take out of the pile. I've already sold, I don't even know if I'm going to have enough. I may have to dip into my own stash. So I have at least 15 sets already accounted for. And I bet you in the time it's taken me to make this video, I've probably sold a couple more. These are going quick, and if I have to make another run of these, there's going to be a minimum quantity orderable. The price is also going to go up. So as of this recording, I'm selling these for $36 for a kit, and I think that's a really good bargain. I'm not trying to make a lot of money on these. I'm trying to make my money back. And it did cost me a lot to have these made, so I'm just trying to recuperate my investment. I got my set, so my radio will be restored, and hopefully you will be able to do yours. So let's continue on this project. Let's see if we can do this without screwing everything up. So I'm going to use the scraper tip. There we go. We want to get all this. Now this radio hasn't seen a ton of UV. The plastic isn't completely disintegrated. The yellower your buttons are, by the way, the worse it's going to be. And you've got to be careful because when this plastic yellows, it gets very brittle. That's an indication of excessive UV exposure over time. And this toolkit, you can get these on eBay. I don't buy a lot of stuff on Amazon. I just don't like Amazon. I like eBay. I've been using eBay for over 20 years now, 22 years. And I've had good luck. I know, it's the same concept, right? But if there's enough demand, by the way, I'm going to set up an eBay store, and I'll order another set of these. Another run of about 30. Maybe I'll do 40. I don't know how many of these radios are left in the world and in need of restoration. But yes, I am shipping worldwide. I have already committed to selling a set of these to a gentleman in the UK. I think I've got somebody in Ireland who wants a set. And a guy possibly even in Germany who wants a set of these as well. So as of right now, nobody else is making these except me and the little printing company that I chose to use. And I specifically chose a company based in the US. There were a lot of them that are actually based over in China. And I figured with the US, I got better service. I actually talked with the salesman is also the company's CEO, as I recall. And we talked about Miatas for a while because he's like, hey, I used to own one of those. And we talked about how the collector market has really soared for these cars. And it was a good conversation. Nice guy. Yeah, they delivered. They even had their own art department go through my design and they fixed it. There were some issues with my initial drawings that wouldn't be production worthy. With measurements weren't exact. So we ended up, he had his art department, which is the group or the individual who takes customer artwork and readies it for press. Now, back in another life, I used to run a flexographic press, so I know exactly what they're going through. And we had the company that I used to work for, they had a department just for that purpose. So the customer supplies artwork, and the artwork is good, yeah, but when you translate it to actual pre-press, it doesn't work out so good. So I think we're in good shape here. This is looking good. If you screw up your labels, if I send you a set of these and you accidentally apply them incorrectly, I will not be offering refunds. I will not be offering refunds, and I will not be offering replacements. Understand, I'm not in the business. I'm just a guy, hobbyist like you, who saw a need for something that is potentially going to help a lot of folks like myself in the same situation. Only I put up my own money to have these made, and that's that. So, like I said, we're not going to keep the LED. I think I'm gonna pass on that. I'm gonna leave it there for now. It's not in anybody's way, but if I ever take the radio back apart, I'm gonna just pull the whole thing. So let's apply our first decal. Now, if I screw up, well, I have a whole stack of them sitting next to me, so I have that advantage. So they got the measurements absolutely dead on. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's so beautiful. That is absolutely glorious. Look at that. That is something that, my God, isn't it beautiful? Now the CD indicator. We're going to power this on and we're going to just verify how good the light shines through. Alright, that one we can... Now the CD indicator, it has a little recess right in here, so it doesn't go all the way to the edge. Just remember that. Okay, so that's that. Look at, isn't that beautiful? Look at that. I mean, it's not perfect. No, it's not perfect. But neither is the car. You know, the car is 30 odd years old. Well, no, 20. How old is my car? 20, 26, 27 years old. Come on. You can have a few defects here and there, right? For those of you following the Mazda sensory sound system project, this is all that's left to do on my stereo. And then it's done. It's all finished. Now let's try to get the Bodysonic one done. Now you could apply over top of the existing label. It can be done. I wouldn't recommend it though, because again, the surface could be failing. It's already badly oxidized as it is. Ooh, careful. Careful, careful. I think what we're going to do is we're going to poke a hole right in here. Let that break apart, right? And then you gently pull it. There's just a light diffuser behind it, so it's not a big deal. And there we go. Look at that. You do want to get the old adhesive off as much as you can. Now, if you're doing this on a more UV damaged set of faceplates, you will probably have more of a challenging time getting this apart or getting these off, because the adhesive itself will have begun to solidify. Now, normally this adhesive is quite compliant, and it's not exactly, it's soft and it's flexible. I'm trying to get that little piece out of there, but anyway, I give up. So we're going to take this tool back again. You're going to want to buy a set of these. They also come in handy when you're doing electronics repair. Trust me, that's what I do for a living. Well, not electronics per se, but you know what I mean. can get it right off of there. But this is how you make one of these stereos look new again. Now, I've made a lot of repairs to my stereo that are all covered on this channel. If you're new here, if you're just here because you wanted a set of labels and I directed you to this video. I've made a lot of repairs to my stereo, and I'll just kind of go over them now. So I've done a complete cap job on the power supply and the amplifier circuit, new capacitors. They weren't necessarily bad, but since I had it apart, there's nothing wrong with resetting the clock on those caps, you know what I mean? Look at that. It's coming off. Now, if I screw this all up and I have to end up refinishing the faceplate, it's not the end of the world. I do not want to do this again, but if I have to, it's a labor of love, you know? If I have to do it over again, I will. All right, so there we go. Get that off. So let's kind of sort of go around this way. All right, good. No damage so far to the paint, and we're almost done. I looked at the old, the faceplate set that I sent out, and I saw that they had damaged the finish a little bit. But these are guys who run printing presses and work in that industry. So they're not really doing this. I'll show you what I mean. So, and I don't blame, I mean, I told them, look, I said, do what you got to do. I don't care. I just see you can see cut marks around here. There's one there. A couple of cut marks here. It looks like they had taken a razor blade to it. That's okay. I'm not upset about that. This one, I think, got it real good. Yeah, definitely over here. You want to get it. So what I'm saying is, don't do what they did. They tried to get at it from the edges. You want to get at it from the center. Or in this Bodysonic system case, you want to get at it from the. In this case, I got it through the window, but without hitting or nicking the light pipe behind it. I'm going to take this right here and just kind of brush that off. So here's my last one, and we're going to apply power to this thing and light it up and see how it all looks. Here we go. Look at that. That was easy. I get around there. This is it's called a pressure sensitive adhesive. Now, the radiuses are not perfect. I'm going to just point that out. I just noticed that now. They're not perfect. But do you really think anyone's going to care? I mean, even a concourse level show car, they're not even going to notice that. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. The thing is, they're probably not going to, because let's just put this out there. How many vintage car radios are getting restored in 2022? Especially from the 90s. How many do you really think? How many car stereos out there is anyone spending the time, money, and resources to replace and restore these labels? This has probably never been done before. I'm just gonna be honest here. I don't think anyone has ever done this before for any car stereo, for any vehicle, ever. But if you're watching this video and you own a sensory sound system, I can hook you up. All right. Now let's cut the video. We're gonna get this thing reassembled and we're gonna light it up and see what it looks like. I can't wait. Figured it out. So let me shut this off. Look at that, such a beautiful, beautiful radio. Let's put a CD in there. I think this is burned with something. Let's see. Okay, the indicator works. You can see it. It's not as bright as it should be. Okay, didn't like that CD. Let's try it again. Oh, that's a data CD. All right, let's try this. Yeah. Okay, it's not playing, but that works. Oh, that's another data CD. I had a bunch of data CDs kicking around. Let's try a different one. I know I had one here somewhere. How about this one? There we go. So yeah, the only thing that I think they had a hard time reproducing was this right here. And again, I mean, you can still see it even with the lights on. Let me start this thing up here. There we go. Maybe not really, but it's not that big a deal, honest. I do wish it was a little more translucent, but I'll take it. I mean, seriously, I'll take it. I'm totally fine with it. So this radio is ready to go back in the car, which I'll be doing very soon. I just got the car pulled out of the garage, started up for the first time this season, and that video is coming up soon. But yeah, this is the only thing they got wrong. And it's not like they made a mistake. They just, they clearly miscalculated the amount of light that had to be able to pass through it. But at night, like during the daytime, you're not going to see that. But at night, it's pretty obviously. So, hey, you know what? That's fine. That's totally fine. All right. Well, if you have any questions, by all means, please let me know. These kits are available as of right now. I will be working on getting more materials to print more water slide decals, and they come as a package. I'm not separating them, so you get everything. You get the decals, which is what you see here. You're going to get these labels as well. Decals are printed, by the way, on a laser printer, a color laser printer. They can be printed on an inkjet, but they won't last. I believe the laser printer will give you the most longevity, and that's the ones that I include in the kits are printed on a laser printer. So, all right, happy restoring. Have a great day.